Good evening, tankers! How are we all this evening? We have got some amazing fights coming up. It is the very first time since Asia has fought European region. My name is Nate Palmer, and joining me in the casting today is the one and only Ravi.
Thank you, Nate Palmer. It's good to be here again tonight. Atlas versus Devi. It's really going to be some good games tonight. I hope everyone's tuned in for it. I think we had the APAC versus NA game just over a week ago, and those games were really good. But I'm expecting these games to be, seriously, show us how it's really done.
Absolutely. Devi is an incredible clan, and it is it's a wild card how it's going to play out tonight. ATLUS proving incredibly strong in the games against Mahu last week, I believe it was. And honestly, I think it might not be as much of a complete thrashing as a lot of people are thinking.
Yes, from asking a few people across the APAC region about these games, they believe that Atlas are probably going to get stomped by Devi 7-2. It was the most average result I got, but I reckon that if Atlas still show that they're on their game against A, like they did against Mahu, then I reckon it's going to be a very close game.
Yes, indeed. So predictions, Mr. Ravi.
My prediction is going to go. I'm still voting for the EU lads. I reckon it'll go 7-4 to Devi.
7-4. I'm still thinking 7-3 to Devi.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
speaking of the team, shall we introduce them?
Yes. So shall we start with our homegrown people?
Absolutely. So, on the APAC team, we have ATLUS. Leading them, Capilana and Yuhei. A lot of familiar names there. Omiki, our community contributor. Half-Light, Yamato Noob, The Returned. Kicker, a lot of players that are very, very well known in the Asia community.
I don't see much change from that Atlas lineup there from the 20 people they have selected. There may be one or two switches, but I can't put their names on it. But it does look like the same team we saw just over a week ago.
Indeed. And on the Devi side, the legendary Dekilzor and Shifter. Shifter?
Shifter Hino.
Shifter Hino. We're going to call him Shifter, leading the Devi team. A lot of very strong players. Devi proving incredibly powerful in the European clan wars scene.
Yes, with their leader Daki, who is a very well-known clan commander slash caller, has a lot of experience and he can really bring out the best in the team. So what I did, I tried to do a bit of digging around to see if there was any ex WGL players in this team, and I couldn't find anyone. But unless they've done a name change, I have no idea.
Yeah, not a lot of names that are familiar to us. We do play on the Asia server, but Dekilzor is an incredibly well-known caller and an incredibly skilled caller, and I think that's what Devi are really riding on to bring them to victory.
You're certainly right. But as you just mentioned, Daki, sorry, he's done this for quite a few years, has a lot of experience behind him, and the guys he has in his team really will pull through today. But shall we go through the maps?
Absolutely. So, a couple of unusual pick bands here. So, from Devi, we have Fisherman's Bay Band, Redshire Band, and Muravanka Band, and ATLUS banning Steps and Prokhorovka. So,
Again, this time
sorry, you
I
go.
don't uh, believe this time Atlas still want to ban Proc as it is their worst map, and I believe they didn't think they did too well on steps. That's why they banned it last time. But Fisherman's Bay, Redshire, and Murray are three maps. Sorry, that I believe that would have been really interesting to see today.
I personally disagree. I completely understand the bans on Redshire and Muravanka. They are very campy and very passive maps and difficult to dig out a camp from. And I think it's a logical choice to ban them. Although banning Fisherman's Bay over Ensk is a very questionable ban, in my opinion. Especially seeing as Devi has picked Ensk later on, so they must have a very interesting strat plan for that.
I hope it's definitely not 15-279E. So.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. ATLUS not proving incredibly strong on steps. A couple of mistakes against Mahu, so completely understandable why they would ban it. Going to the Pixo, Westfield, our first map for the night. And honestly, not something I would expect to be straight off the bat.
Yes, so you see that we have ATLUS defending first on Westfield. Um, we didn't get to see. We haven't seen Westfield the past two times we've done these clan tournaments or clan showdowns, but it's actually good that Westfield's actually in the rotation now. So it'll be good to see what kind of strats both these clans will pull out tonight.
Absolutely. And Himmelsdorf, Devi picking a very uh, old meta map. I don't think very much has changed over the years with this. Obviously, as new tanks evolve and are brought into the meta, it changes slightly, but it's always heavy tanks. It's always contesting hill or playing 1-2. It's a tried and trusted map, and I can completely understand why Divi would feel comfortable picking it.
Yes, with a new addition of tanks such as the 277, 279E, the Chieftain, those tanks just come into the rotation of being Clan Wars meta, and they are able to not necessarily change how the Himmelsdorf plays, but the positioning that tanks can play.
Indeed. So Cliff, the third map. This was picked by ATLUS, and probably one of my favourite maps to play in Clan Wars. The fights are fast. There's not really a reliance on artillery and playing it slow. It's just a good old-fashioned brawl, rotations, and it's honestly really entertaining to watch.
A majority of the fights played in the middle of the map around the donut or on the hill, sorry, the ramp at the hill. So you won't see anything where you might see a brawl on the 1-2 line if they commit tanks there, but that's probably about it. But Ensk is always a fast-paced map. I reckon it's no longer than 5 minutes, depending on how the teams play it.
Cliff, you mean?
Cliff, sorry, I do apologise.
That's alright.
But anyway,
speaking of Ensk, it's the next map picked by Devi. And on the complete opposite side to Cliff, Ensk is a very slow and drawn-out map. A lot of tank destroyers I see in the meta. T110 E3s, even Yagpades 3100s get a chance here. 279s, Chieftains, a lot of really armor-focused tanks and alpha-focused tanks in the meta.
yeah, you see you see a bit of diversity coming out on Ensk. As you said, you see E3s, E4s, sometimes version 4s if you really want to risk it for the biscuit. And as you said, Jagpans has come out as well, just to really get the output and bleed hit points and punish tanks for getting caught out. It's definitely a map that is very slow and very heavily in tanks. But yeah, our
And,
last three maps, we have Malinovka with ATLUS defending.
yeah, so Malinovka is another old map. Honestly, I've seen a lot of different players in Malinovka. Most teams will contest hill, but I'm seeing more and more teams playing even field and trying to like shove field after baiting a hill play. I'm seeing a lot of EBRs. EBRs have certainly revolutionized the way Malinovka is played. I'm seeing more artillery by some teams. Some teams not opting to run it, but usually teams that opt to run artillery will try and contest the hill. And I'm honestly confident that ATLUS has got some good strategies planned for Malinovka, seeing as they've shown a lot of promise in that on the campaign.
Yeah, Malinovka's become more that a lot of clans are putting more of a presence in the south side now, whereas you'd see that they pretty much play the map in half, where while the one team will go hill, or the other team will just play the south, and it just becomes trying to push the enemy back and take map control. But it's expanded from that now, which is good to see. It's not only just played in one half of the map.
Indeed. Next map, Sen River, picked by Devi. A very open map, focusing a lot on rotations, EBRs, but also opting for really hard commits. I'm seeing a lot of teams now shifting towards trying to push out one side, secure it, and then rotate everything around. And Devi, having a lot of experience in this map, I can completely understand why they would pick it.
Same here. You see, I believe we've got two different play styles coming out from in these two clans today. ATLUS is more of a defense side of defending play style where they try and hold position and then go for a push, whereas I believe Divi play very aggressive in terms of similar to Mahu, I believe, where they take map control and they constantly put the enemy team on the back foot with their overwhelming firepower.
Indeed. And the last map, the Tiebreaker, Live Oaks, another map that's focusing on rotation. I won't talk too much about it because we do have a little over a minute before we go underway, but this map, I really feel that it's all about having that early intel with the EBRs. I really feel that you can't afford to split. You really need to commit to one side with most of your team, hold the other side with what few tanks you can. And again, this is all rotations, so If it does go to tiebreaker, I think Devi might have the upper hand here, although ATLUS has shown time and time again in the Clan Wars campaign that they do know what they're doing on Live Oaks.
Yeah, you're most certainly right, but we can't talk about too much longer because we've got less than a minute before we go into our first game.
Absolutely, less than a minute. So, honestly, looking at our first map, Westfield, I'm expecting Devi really going to try and contest the south here. Not many teams seem to play north. I don't know. It really depends on how heavy a lineup both teams are looking to play.
Yeah, I wouldn't say how heavy, but how much flexibility the team has. More importantly, you could say that you can be heavily armored, but you need the flexibility within the tanks to be able to make the map rotations and obviously put in the crossfire when one team does make a push, whether they push the south or the north. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of tanks or what strategy each clan is going to bring.
Indeed.
But
I believe we have
enough about
5 seconds to go until our
So-
first match is underway.
as you can see, I'm stuttering a little bit, but that's because I'm excited for these games. All right,
I think
I'm
we're all excited. Shall we get underway?
Let's
think
get
we
underway.
shall.
First game, ATLUS on defense on Westfield. This is going to be an interesting game. So, coming from ATLUS, we've got 2 277s, 8 Chieftains, 3 EBRs, and 2 CGCs.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you mind going through the other team as well?
No worries, and Devi have 2 260s, 4 Chiefs, 6 97s, and 3 EBRs. So they're not opting to go for artillery, whereas you see ATLUS playing, look like they're going to play a little bit, like stall the game out as much as they can. But I think the 3 EBRs coming from either team, it's going to be hard to try and take map control, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. But looking like Devi already going for an aggressive play in the south here. ATLUS, on the other hand, committing a lot of chieftains to the north, not really trying to match that.
No, you should see the Devi are playing south aggressively. They're sending 2 EBRs down south to take control of that K0 corner, while 1 EBR is making the mid run at F6. See if there's anything there. But he won't be able to find anything. They'll just be able to find. They might find the 1 EBR, but there is an early spot coming out with the 260s in mid.
Yeah, a lot of aggressive players coming out at the start of this game here.
As we
Devi
can see that-
already taking the middle of the map with almost their entire team. ATLUS not even contesting south at all.
No, 03 does get punished for his poke in that mid bridge, and same as Skriga.
I'm not
I
sure how
don't
to
know.
pronounce
I
that.
butchered his name. I'm sorry.
That's alright. Yeah, so honestly, Devi here really trying to hold the ridgeline on EF. Unfortunately, though, they can't afford to get spotted. Skriga there does get spotted, and artillery shells are raining, and he's taking a bit of damage. That would be Capilana in the bush there, trying to spot and get artillery fire coming in. It's actually a really interesting bush by Capilana here. I don't think we've ever seen this one used.
No, he's knocked the tree down, but it's obviously gone the other way, so he probably could use that for a little bit more camo. But I believe with the EBR's camo rating as it is, he's got enough value there to keep him unspotted from everything. You see the EBR 105 from Devi coming out. Hans, being very aggressive. Didn't quite get the spot on Kagami there, but yeah, this bush coming from Capilana, very interesting.
And it's interesting as well, Devi is on the defense, but they have pushed incredibly far up, trying to, I assume, take away that advantage ATLUS has of having both the artillery.
And yes, one thing I have noticed from ATLUS is that they haven't put a chieftain in the D1 position to try and apply pressure and get vision out towards the G4 ridge. They've kept them all in the C3 position.
Yeah, it's some very slow play. I'm not sure what ATLUS is thinking of doing here. Maybe they're attempting to bleed down. HP is still favouring Devi, so not exactly ideal for ATLUS, but a lot of ATLUS tanks are really in strong positions, so I don't know, how are they going to break this?
Yeah, ATLUS are up 900 hit points now, so Devi are bringing the hit points difference down, but ATLUS have got 2 arties, so if they just keep getting the spots, they can bleed these tanks, but that's if ATLUS can actually get the spots on them, and as you see, Amarushi and Yuhei are blind throwing the bush where Daki is right now. Trying to find out where exactly he is.
And it's interesting as well, Atlas not putting the artillery in the traditional spot. They've actually got a 277 and a 907, I believe, sitting passive there. Maybe it's the double 277, I can't really see. But I'm assuming they're baiting the Devi push from the zero line, really trying to farm that.
Yes, I think they're just anchor tanks. If the push does come from the zero line, by looking at the lineup with the amount of 97s that Divi have, they were able to hold up. And looks like they're just trying to knock down some buildings there with the 277s to try and get some cheeky shots into the chieftains that are sitting at E6.
Speaking of 907s, a lot of them now rotating over to F0 are getting spotted though. A bit of fire coming in. Commie taking a first shot of damage. His fuel tank is broken. And here comes the artillery. Does get a miss on that, unfortunately, though. But here comes the pain. Atlas dealing a lot of damage. And this is not good for Divi. They are trying to kill both the artillery, but both the artillery aren't in the zero line. They've actually moved up to A6. And with this push being spotted, they're going to see the rotations from the conks moving incredibly quickly so they don't get spotted. And now, with all this HP bleed, Atlas are actually not even taking that much damage.
No, the chieftains from Atlas at B7 have made that made the push from Divi really get punished. Now the 97s have encountered the 277s in the A0 corner, and they're caught out now. They're gonna die to the 277s. One of the 97s, Ghost, has parked himself behind the building on cap to apply some cap pressure to try and get Atlas to move from their defensive positions.
And we're seeing already chieftains rotating back in, trying to get underneath the main forces of Divi, actually pushing in as well. Tuku and the chieftain going very aggressive, trying to push Shifter off a cliff.
Atlas have pushed down their chieftains. Now they're caught in a bit of a crossfire here. You got the 260s from Divi on the ridge, just shooting down onto them, and this 97 Ghost is putting a lot of pressure in the kick-up, bleeding a lot of hit points. But the 97s and the 277s and the A0 corner, they're all dead now.
Although Keka not really needing to push down that far, has bled a lot of HP. The question is, can he afford to stay down there much longer? He's getting kills and there is a lot of damage, but I'm seeing Atlas bleed a lot here. Divi did bleed a lot pushing down that zero line, but Atlas just throwing away HP here, evening out this fight.
They were up 4k hit points, but now they're down 2k. This is not looking good for Atlas right now. Mori-chan stuck in the open, the 97_14. is just punishing him, bleeding all of his hit points. Mori-chan's down to a one-shot. Can they get the kill shot on Mori-chan?
And I'm expecting to Killzor to make a play soon. He is full HP with an EBR. With most of the fight taking place on the other side of the map, yeah, here we go. De Killzor is now starting to move up, take shots where he can.
This is not looking for Atlas. Atlas had the hit points, they had the positioning, but they just pushed too far aggressive out of their defensive positions. I'm guessing they needed to do something with the 97 on cap, and that's exactly it.
Yeah, completely understandable why they would be concerned about Ghost being on the cap there. But I think definitely pushing down was a mistake here by Atlas. They've lost a lot of tanks when they didn't need to. And curious enough, this was Atlas's attack. I don't know why they didn't play so aggressive.
No, this was Atlas's defense.
It said attack for me, so I stand corrected.
That's right. But yeah, Divi have got the positioning and they're just swarming the leftover tanks on Atlas. There's not much that Atlas can do now. That all their tanks are down to less than a quarter hit points, except for Missa, he's going down to 800 hit points. He is losing hit points very quickly. But I thought the push that Divi did with the 97s would have put Atlas in the favor of taking control of this game. But again, Atlas just threw their tanks away by pushing too far in the open to try and deal with the tank on cap.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think this was I think it was that good a defense, in all honesty. I think it worked alright. The bait play on the zero line was honestly incredibly well thought out, but that re-push down is what killed the game, unfortunately.
I need to correct myself. You are correct. It is Atlas's attack, but
I thought so.
Don't know why. Don't know why Atlas were playing so defensively.
I've had to change that mod a couple of times this game. Yeah, very curious. I thought Atlas would be on defense by the way that they play so passive, as you said, but that's 0-1 to Divi.
I'm guessing that the two playstyles coming out from both teams are really showing that having the two artillery and trying to play slow may not cut it against Divi's aggressive lineups that they do to try and overwhelm the opposition team.
Yeah, honestly, I I think this just comes down to a clash of two very different metas here, and Devi just pulling out on top. I think honestly the throw from ATLUS, they could have easily won that in my opinion. That push down 0, it was calculated, but I feel that they bled a lot, and I think definitely pushing down while there's still tanks alive on 9-0 was their downfall.
Most definitely. We'll have to at some point have to go through that map on a strat sketch so we can break it down a little bit further. That way, you guys at home can understand exactly where it went wrong for the ATLUS guys. So 1-0 to Devi right now. This could be interesting. ATLUS might need to change how they play these games if they're thinking that that's going to stick to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that Devi felt confident in that game, but they fell into a trap, and so ATLUS showing a lot of promise, but it just didn't convert. So, yeah, we'll definitely see how the next game plays out.
So we've got a bit of time actually. So
did you want to go over the scores then, damage wise?
Yes, well, that's one thing we forgot. Sorry, I'm trying to set up codes. So we'll go through the scores. ATLUS in the Artie. Main Artie player coming out there from ATLUS. He's probably a key Artie player for ATLUS, and he does his job very well. So he picked up just under 3k. Marichan in the Chieftain picking up just under 3k as well, and then Tuku in the Chieftain picking up 2.5. And then coming from Devi, 28. I don't know if that's correct name, but I hope it is. In the 260, picked up 3.5k damage. 14 picked up 3.5 as well in his 907, and Ghost picking up 3k damage and 4 kills. He was the one that was putting. They were putting pressure on the cap, and also kill securing tanks need be. So, looking at the damage spread there, a lot of even though the 97s got punished, there were still two 97s that were able to use their DPM in the game to keep the damage being outputted for the V, which is really good to see, considering that they lost 4 907s as they crossed down to get into the A0 corner. I thought the 277s from ATLUS would survive that engagement, but from what I was seeing, that they were just bleeding too much to the 260s that were in mid. So unfortunate there for ATLUS, considering it was their first game. Hopefully, this is their warm-up game and they can get back on the pedal.
Indeed. Well, we have about a minute, I would say, until the next game. Minute 45.
Yep. So, while we have a bit of time, again, we have 10 codes to give away. They are the same codes, the code contains the same camo as we gave away when we were playing ATLUS versus Mahu. So they would contain a lava ocean style. They're only valid for the Asia server. Throughout the chat, you'll see myself put in a keyword. Please pay attention to the keyword. Even though this is delayed, you'll still see them. Also, this will be happening live in chat. So do keep an eye in for the keyword.
Absolutely. So make sure you enter the keyword in the chat when you do see it, and you go into the draw. The code, as Ravi said, is Asia only, and Ravi will contact the winners with their code when we do the draw.
So, anyway, so now we have ATLUS on the defense. We have this. We need to make sure that we got this correct now. ATLUS is on the defense.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we've done that.
So I wonder what ATLUS are going to run with this one now, since they're on the defense. Are they actually going to bring more of a mobile lineup that they can flex, or are they going to bring in an artillery or maybe even 2 artillery to try and break out a possible slow pace lineup from the V?
I definitely think they're going to bring something to deliberately confuse the casters about whether they're on attack or defense.
Yes. Please, no more of that. I'm excited for these games, but I'm not that excited to try and decrypt what kind of playstyle or who's attacking and who's what.
Yes, indeed.
But no,
I believe we don't have very long. We've got 4 seconds until our next game starts.
Yes, so let's get stuck into game 2. ATLUS versus Devi. ATLUS are on the defense again. So let's go through the lineups real quick. Oh, this is All right. For ATLUS, ST Tank in the 279E, 1 Super Kong, 11 chieftains coming from ATLUS. A full 30 and a striv. Hopefully we don't have the build the wall incident coming here.
Oh
Um,
no.
and then coming from Devi, we have 3 260s, 9 chieftains, 1 268 version 4, and 2 EBRs. So ATLUS choosing not to go for EBRs on their defense. This is pretty much giving Devi map control entirely straight off the bat. So you might see their EBRs be really aggressive and get really up into ATLUS's base.
Yeah, well, we're definitely expecting a hard camp from ATLUS here. The
I
EBRs,
believe
though, will definitely have free reign of the map, as you said.
We have seen that the ATLUS tanks have stopped.
Have they stopped?
Yes. First shot has just come out into ATLUS, I believe. I'm waiting for confirmation from our admin. Is this going to be a restart? I am not sure.
I believe this will be a restart. We are still waiting, although Devi is definitely taking this opportunity to farm the easy clap 15-0.
So, while we wait for confirmation, we are unsure what happened here. A player may have DC'd again. Hopefully it wasn't like last time.
But while we wait, we can admire the beautiful camouflages on both teams. We have the ATLUS branding here with the red, the black, and the white, and the ATLUS logo on the side of the chieftain here. And for Devi, we have quite an interesting color palette. The orange, yellow, black, and red really striking color palette here. And of course the Devi logo on the side as well.
Which is very difficult to see, depending on where it's positioned on the tank and the color scheme. It's a little bit hard to see. I really like the color scheme, the pattern. Sorry, that there's in the Devi and the Devi camo for their team. Really interesting. Much more prominent, as you see in the on the stream right now.
And yes, we just have had confirmation that was in fact a crash by one player, so that match will be restarted. And it's a good thing too, because I didn't update the scores at the top, so it should be.
It's alright then. Slight technical difficulties. It's not a Wargaming Asia casting stream when there's slight technical difficulties.
But I am working hard to make sure we have a lot less this time.
So, yep. So we can pop in straight into lead this time. We've still only got a 3-minute wait. Say. So again, ATLUS will be on the defense.
Are you moved in? Yes, you are.
Yep, so it is 1-0 to Devi right now. I believe we're going to try and ready up as soon as possible and make sure everyone's ready, make sure we have all the players back in, no crashes, no issues. But yeah, so some minor issues at the start of this series, but we'll get there in the end. So, from the lineups that we saw, Nate Palmer, do you reckon that the lineup that ATLUS had will be sufficient enough to try and play the game slow to try and win them a game against Devi?
I don't think so. I honestly think even having one light tank, even like a T100 for example, passive in a bush, will give them so much more intel about what's actually happening. What I think will happen here, the EBRs will just try and almost suicide in to get the spot, and Devi will just hammer down. Although, depending on how hard ATLUS camps, it could be difficult for Devi to break, especially considering I don't believe they were running Artie.
No, they weren't. They had 2 EPRs, I believe. So, but again, like map control was completely handed to Devi then. So,
mind you, we didn't exactly have the strap by ATLUS, so
no, we just saw tanks. Just drive and stop. So, but let's see how things go. We have still got a minute 30 before we get underway. So just trying to do a bit of a recap here. Trying to find the words to say this. I'm trying to how to word it.
It's difficult to talk about what happened because nothing happened. It was just a restart.
So while we've got a bit of time, I tried tuning into some of Kills' streams during the week and see the advances that he plays and see how he calls and what he does, how he coordinates his team. Unfortunately, I was only able to watch a couple due to IRL commitments, but he's a very confident caller. If you've never watched him stream or watched him call advances, please do check out his Twitch channel. Honestly, he's you'll learn a few things off him. But he's such a confident caller. He can read the map very well. You do see good callers, but Tequilza is on another level, in my opinion.
He is an incredible caller, I will say that. And we have less than a minute until our second game. Even though it is the third, it's a restart. Our second game for the night gets underway with an ATLUS defense on Westfield.
Yes. Both teams will be using the same lineup, so we'll still go through the tanks again just to make sure we didn't miss anything.
So for those not familiar, what a restart basically is when a player disconnects or has an issue, the team can call a restart as long as they don't do anything. I believe there's a limited amount they can call, but you saw that's exactly what happened with ATLUS not even moving from spawn.
A restart is allowed when the team hasn't received any damage, and they can only do one restart per map.
But we are back in game with ATLUS and Devi on Westfield.
Yes, so we'll go through the lineups again. 1279E from ATLUS, an S-Kong, 11 Chieftains, a 430U, and a Striv again. And looking at Devi, you've got 3 260s, 9 Chieftains, 268 version 4, and 2 EBRs. So, as I was going through before we had the restart, map control is completely handed to Devi here, so I wonder how aggressive will these EBRs go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the EBRs will just be going full ham. In fact, I'm actually spectating to Killzor here. I'm expecting him to go right underneath the F5 sector here and spot ATLUS's entire team. Because having no EBRs, no light tanks even, to try and counter spot means EBRs can go really, really deep.
You can see them both running very aggressive into F5, using the city to get out, to rotate out, make sure they don't lose any hit points, and they get out there pretty free. But you can see the fight coming in the north with the Chieftains.
Yeah, so ATLUS really trying to go for a brawl strategy here, not wanting to run EBRs at all. In fact, they're relying on having the Chieftains and 430 that spawn down south to deal with the base defense. Explains the Striv now. ATLUS really going to have to play quite aggressive here if they want to win the north, because Devi already rotating tanks into the fight, and if ATLUS doesn't match that, which I don't think they can because they will get farmed on the rotation in, ATLUS is going to be down HP.
Both teams are rotating their lone tanks that were spawned down south. Technically, it is a 13v15 game, so 12v13 game now, because Yuhei did pick up the first kill on the 260-03.
But it's interesting, ATLUS already equalising on HP, even though they had the HP advantage at the start, so Devi definitely focus firing well here, putting a lot of damage out, and I think it comes down to the Chieftains that spawn down south not getting into the fight. A lot of guns that aren't sharing hit points around.
You look at the hit points coming out from ATLUS, you see the hit point share is quite even, but there's a couple of tanks that have been pushed down to one-shots now. You see Tuku and the Chieftain down to 380, Kagami in down 340, and Miki down to a one-shot at 34.
And the thing now is Hanez here in the EBR 105, he can just get free reign on the side shots on the Striv and on the Chieftains. So because they're ATLUS now to have nothing in the south to really contest and deal with that EBR, Devi has got free reign to just completely surround ATLUS here.
ATLUS do lose 2 Chieftains, they lose Kicker and Missar, and now they lost 3 Chieftains. Hippo does go down. So Devi their crossfire is really putting ATLUS on the back foot now. They're down to 8k hit points now. The hit points for ATLUS are dropping so quickly.
Yeah, I definitely feel ATLUS needed to play a much more aggressive game at the start here. Devi able to rotate all their tanks into the fight and just completely overwhelm ATLUS before they even had a chance to do anything.
ATLUS, they didn't put enough presence on their ridges enough to try and stop Devi getting taking control of that part of the map. The 260s that we're seeing at B2 on the ramp there were absolutely annoying. This 260 shooting down to its upper flank. Oh, the 279E, sorry.
Yeah, Devi looking incredibly strong here. But that's game 0-2 now to Devi.
Which is that's a bit of an unfortunate game for ATLUS. They look like even though they didn't have the vision at the start. They wanted to play very very heavy, with all their tanks in the north, and they even though they rotated their tanks up north, when they saw that Devi did the same, they just didn't get in the fight quick enough, unfortunately. And at that point, Devi had control of the ridge. They were able to push around the side and just put in a lot of crossfire onto ATLUS's chieftains. But one thing we should do is go through the battle results for that.
Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. I've just updated the scores, and now 0-2 to Devi. But let's just make sure. Do we have another game popping immediately? No, we don't, so we can go through the scores.
We have plenty of time, so we can go through the battle results and then go through.
Actually, it's just popped, so we'll just jump in quick and then we'll go through the score.
So with this, ATLUS, Mori-chan picking up 2.6k damage. Yuhei in the street picking up 2.5, even though he
Ready up,
was
sorry.
Pardon? Oh, I mean ready up.
Yes.
Sorry. Anyway, Yuhei in the street, sorry, picked up 2.4. He was pretty much alive for half of the battle, so he did output enough damage, but it wasn't enough to try and get through Devi's tanks. And then ATLUS, this time playing a chieftain, picked up 2k. Then coming up from Devi, Hillary picking up 4.5 in his chieftain. How would I pronounce this name, Napalmer?
1 second, sorry, I'm just doing a lot of internal stuff in the background here.
The chieftain on 3.4k damage. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and I don't want to mispronounce it.
Let me quickly transfer back in. 3.4k. Yeah, good question.
Right.
We're going to call him Rake.
Rake. Alright, we'll call him Rake.
We'll call him Rake.
I don't want to mispronounce it.
No.
Anyway, Alkahiro and the next chieftain picked up 3.2. So you see that the chieftains from Devi then, a lot of them were the top damage dealers in that game. So were able to put ATLUS on the back foot, take control of that mid ridge, and just completely create a crossfire against ATLUS. So, I'm hoping this isn't a ruffle stomp for ATLUS. I'm hoping we can pick it up. But again, I do believe ATLUS need to change how they play these games.
Yeah, honestly, I think ATLUS trying to stick with their tried and tested methods just simply not working against Devi. They really need to change it up. And that was, I believe, whose map, quick?
That was Devi's.
Yeah, okay. So it might make sense why ATLUS was not exactly prepared for that kind of play.
Yes. I believe that our next map is Himmelsdorf. So we go to Himmelsdorf with ATLUS on defense for the first round.
Yes, good old Himmelsdorf. It's a fan favorite. I have always have players making fond memories on Himmelsdorf. Very closed and confined map. Rewarding a lot of aggressive brawls, rotational plays, and hard pushes. I'm seeing a lot of fast tanks in the rotation, but I'm also seeing a lot of 279. So I'm curious to see exactly how Devi plays this. They could go for a really aggressive two-line push, which absolutely would work, but most teams will contest hill.
They will put at least a couple of tanks on the hill to show that they have some presence there, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Indeed, but we have less than a minute to go until our third game of the night. Anything else you'd like to add while I quickly do a couple of final checks?
No, unfortunately, we don't get to go through the strat for this, which sucks in my opinion. I would love to debunk the first game, but unfortunately, since we don't have enough time left, we've only got less than 30 seconds. We can't go through that. But again, Devi is showing that they're very strong. No matter what tanks they have, they can really perform exceptionally well.
Indeed. 10 seconds to go for Himmelsdorf. I'm honestly expecting some really interesting plays coming out here. ATLUS on defense first, followed by Devi. We're curious to see how this plays out, but with that familiar Himmelsdorf theme, I think it's time to head into battle.
Yes.
Alrighty, so seeing as Bravi is a bit preoccupied, ATLUS running 350Bs, a lot of 279s, Batchat, Yamato Noob, double Super Conqueror, not opting to run the Chieftain here, very curious, but a lot of 279Es here, and the 430, Neru here. Are we building the wall? Maybe
Are we building the wall?
ATLUS very keen to copy, maybe. Devi running 50Bs, a lot of 279s, a lot of Chieftains, in fact, only 150B. I'm expecting Devi here to play an aggressive hill play.
Yes, the amount of chieftains coming out from Devi, then it looks like they might have some kind of a presence on the hill, but as you can see, that they're not sending anything to the hill. They're sending everything down the 1-2 line. One chieftain is going down D5 to take the window to try and get early spots onto ATLUS.
Potentially the ultimate bait and switch, trying to convince ATLUS here that they would be playing hill aggressively, but look at this, ATLUS completely committing to the middle of the map. That's unprecedented. ATLUS trying to meet this push right in the middle of the map. Batchat the only one on the hill here, and we're seeing 50Bs rotate away from the two lines so they don't get punished. 279s contesting this here, really trying to shut down the Devi push. This is absolutely incredible play.
Look at that, ATLUS shoving the 279Es in, getting right into Devi's face. Ghost is caught out on his own. He's going to... Hopefully ATLUS did pick up the kill on Ghost. Looks like Morichan's going to deal with him on his own. The Batchat off the hill needs to come down since he's on reload.
Devi moving tanks back in to get that re-push happening, but in terms of HP, ATLUS down at the moment.
They did bleed a lot of hit points as they push the 279Es in the courtyard. And Komi does pick up the first kill on the return.
Yeah, but this is actually stabilised now. Devi losing a lot of HP. They are pushing down, so ST tank will likely die here. Same with A and Mushi. But the Batchat on the hill, 1800 HP, not really getting into the fight, although he is putting a lot of damage here. The question is, will this work?
The re-push from Devi has worked in their favour. They've completely shoved those 279s that were caught at D5.
But speaking of re-pushes, ATLUS now on the 1-2, completely shutting down Ricochet and the Chieftain, and trying to move back in and surround the other side.
The 50Bs would be on reload from my guess. I can't tell. I don't know how many shots they fired, but Komi is down to a 600 in his 279. 28 is on 780 hit points. So if they can take out those two, this game could be back in ATLUS's favour.
But look at this, 279's caught in the open here. Yuhei coming around to get a kill on 28. Looks like he's going to... Oh, not quite pick it up there. The court was blocking the shot. Oh, Miki almost flipping in the 50B.
That would have been a bit of a tragedy.
Yeah.
Like Yuhei will get the kill shot onto 28. And now they ATLUS have brought themselves back into this fight. They've got one tank up on Devi right now.
But look at the HP, it's just so close. The Batchat needs to get off the hill, really get its gun into the fight. Devi rotating tanks into the B line where the Batchat can no longer shoot. If he doesn't get his tank into the fight soon, this is going to be all over for ATLUS. And here comes a re-push coming in by Devi. Hanez and the Chieftain moving up to support Old Kings. Although Aniki in the 50B moving up sneakily around the back and looking to try and get a full clip into potentially low HP targets.
Devi have grouped up their tanks now, but we might see Alkaru and Jackie go down to Aniki, but no, Aniki's pushing to the train station. He's trying to stop this push that's coming down from Devi. They're pushing down the true line.
Skurger is in a bad spot here. Here comes the 50B. He's going to clip out. Ooh, misses the first shot. Come on, number 2. Good pen. And Old Kings goes down.
Anakin using his clip very well, puts in his last shot, now he's on reload, but he'll go down to...
Devi's seriously running out of HP here. Now down to less than 500 HP, although all tanks incredibly low. But one tank remaining, that would be Hillary. I think ATLUS has finally secured a win.
This is interesting. ATLUS really have changed how they play in this game. They really put the pressure on Devi at the start and caught them off guard.
Yeah, it's very, very convincing endgame. But at the start, as you said, very, very uncertain. Both teams really smashing out that aggression. Uh, Devi doing the whole bait and switch, running a lot of chieftains, making the enemy assume, okay, we're going to take all these chieftains hill, because that's where you would logically take a lot of tanks with good under pressure. But instead, hard shoving 1-2 line. ATLUS anticipating that, making sure they can see it coming soon. I'll make sure you ready up as well. Yep, we're good. And really matching that aggression, taking defensive positions, using the bat chat on the hill to punish any sort of read pushes. And I think it honestly came down to players being able to connect their shots and hold their HP that let ATLUS pull through in the end there.
I thought that with the 279s pushing into the courtyard from ATLUS, they bled a lot of hit points, but as soon as they got on the cover, they were able to create a lot of crossfires onto on the tanks that were caught out. Ghost and the Chieftain was caught out very quickly, and ATLUS were able to put him out of the game early into the fight, which was good. And then the repush coming from Devi was was needed. They needed to get those 279s out of D5 to stop that crossfire. And while they did that, ATLUS did push their 50Bs down that one line, which is a good reaction to the repush that Devi did.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think that in terms of aggression, both teams really put it out there. But I think in terms of plays, the V simply ran out at the end. They committed a lot of tanks down the 1-2 line, but ATLUS just rotated stuff out and said, you know what, you can take that. But then later on, they brought everything back and killed the few tanks that Devi had left there, which means that they really started to lose map control and started to box themselves in.
But we'll quickly go through the battle results for that game. So on ATLUS, Riddermath in the Supercar, 4.3k damage. Really nice from them. Anakin, the 50B, picking up 3.4. 50B using every single shot in his clip. Very well needed for a 50B. You've got to make sure you pen all your shots, because as soon as you don't pen one shot in that clip, it can really change the engagement. Mickey, sorry, it's Niru. I'll call him Niru. That way I don't butcher it. And the 430, you're picking up 3.2k damage. So the damage spread coming out from ATLUS then was really good. It's good to see that they changed how they played and able to be a little bit more aggressive instead of playing the whole defense, playing so passive and defensive on each map. And then you see with Devi, Hillary again in his Chieftain pick up 3.7k damage. Hanez in his Chieftain pick up 3.6, and 28 in his 279 picking up 3.2.
Yeah, look, honestly, a lot of damage spread coming out here. I think honestly, that game came down to ATLUS having a lot of 50Bs to play with in terms of rotation, being able to get tanks around the back, put clips out. I mean, I think DeVille was purely relying on the bluff, making ATLUS think, okay, we've got a heap of chieftains, we're going to go hill. And
exactly.
That's where it just came apart. And Yamato Noob having free reign, pulling 2.8k. That's actually pretty good for a bat chat.
For the bat chat that was on hill for the majority of the game, I reckon he stayed up there for that a little bit too long. He needed to get his gun in the fight sooner. Like, in a bat chat that's sniping at distance is not always going to pen all of his shots. He was able to get out two and a bit of his clip in that game.
Yeah, this is always the issue with running a bat chat, or any tank on hill for that matter. It's a case of, well, how long do I stay up there? And you always sort of second guess yourself thinking, well, if I leave the hill and they push into a position where I could have farmed, I'm having to waste time come back. Or if I don't go now, then I might have missed my opportunity. It's a really difficult decision. As observers, we can be really critical of that, but as a player, even as a caller, it's difficult, and it's often a tank you would forget about when the main fight's happening elsewhere.
Yeah, you got to make sure you don't get stuck in the whole tunnel vision thing. Otherwise, if you do that too long, your gun is not being that effective in the fight. You need to be paying attention to that. But sorry, that is 2-1 to Devi right now. ATLUS do bringing a game back, so it's really good to see. Now we have ATLUS on the defense, I believe. No, sorry, Devi on the defense. My bad. Sorry, Devi on the defense on Himmelsdorf. The second game for this map. Will Devi extend their lead to 3-1? Will ATLUS tie it up to 2-2?
Indeed, but looks like we're heading into game. Himmelsdorf, round 2.
So,
Joe, you do the the tank lineups?
so pretty much identical lineup. So coming from ATLUS, we've got 350Bs again, 4 279Es, a Super Conk, 6 Chieftains and a Bat Chat from ATLUS. And then coming from Devi, we've got 350Bs, 4 279Es, again, 7 Chieftains this time, and a Bat Chat. So very similar lineups from both teams. So it'll be interesting to see how each team plays this. Are they going to put a presence on the hill, or are they going to play aggressive down the 1-2 line?
Indeed. Just give me 1 second, I need to do some technical stuff, so feel free to commentate while I'm working on this.
So as we see how as both teams are rolling out, the VR look like they're going to send majority of their force up the hill with 250Bs and the Bat Chat and 4 Chieftains, while they put up defensive positions around the base. You see the usual defensive positions where we've got 1 Chieftain in the G6, the other Chieftain watching the, a 2790 watching the banana, 1 Chieftain trying to get vision up down the 3 line there, and you got a bit of a small force sitting in J2 to try and punish the cross that happens there. And you see ATLUS, they have majority of the tanks sitting in the 1, 2, 3 positions, and they've got some tanks in the usual positions. 1 Chieftain in the D5 window as usual to get vision if any tanks rotate out. You've got the 350B sitting in A0 again, so a similar strat to what ATLUS did when they versed Mahu. So I wonder how ATLUS will play this one with the lineup they have that they're up against with Devi.
Yeah, it's interesting. Devi actually contesting hill now. This time with the double 50B, couple of Chieftains. It's a very spread out lineup, but ATLUS not really contesting at all. They're going for the good old fashioned, we're not going to let them, we're not going to play hill, we're going to let them take the hill and have a couple of tanks at the base of the hill so we can farm if they do push down.
So Devi are spreading their tanks out on the hill now that they know they have hill control to try and see if they can get some vision across and try and crossfire any tanks that do get caught out. Matcha and his Chieftain was able to get to the window and he got punished quite heavily. He lost nearly 1,000 hit points.
Hillary poking over, spotting Neru in the Chieftain. Not really want to commit. They know that a Chieftain down there means that they're going to be fairly defensive. And we're seeing a lot of rotations come out here. Tanks rotating out of 1-2 and tanks rotating back out of Delta line on 9-0. Meanwhile, ATLUS already pushing the aggression, moving up down the 1-2 line. ST Tank, Yuhei, Kagumi, and Kika all moving down with Mori-chan, Yamato, Noob, and Aimushi Matcha in the holdout, and the Chieftain taking a decent amount of damage, broken gun, but that is a very difficult position to dig out.
ATLUS now in the J3 position there with a few tanks and a slight rotation coming out from Devi. You got 1 279 here going behind the building on cap to see if they can try and catch something out. Do pushes aggressively under the cap, and you see with 2 Chieftains coming from a 279 and a Chieftain pushing right onto the corner by cap.
Well, look at this, Dekilzor is now getting pushed back into a corner. Kicker and ST Tank moving in. Komi coming in to try and support Dekilzor. Dekilzor just hiding behind the building here, trying not to die. But here comes a cap pressure. Yamato, Noob, Mori-chan and Kagumi all on the cap now, forcing Devi to make a play. And if that's not bad enough, 50 Bs, triple, and an S-Kong marching their way down 7-8 line to try and flank. Devi caught out here. A lot of tanks having to rotate off the hill.
ATLUS need to get their 50 Bs clip off and then rotate out. Like all 15 tanks from ATLUS are down off the hill. They have free reign of this map in their ATLUS Devi's defense.
The kills are going to come quicker though. Here come the tanks off Devi from the hill.
ATLUS have 2 tanks on cap. ST Tank is pushing on Dak into Killzor right now. He's going to lose hit points for it. And the Chieftains from the hill have finally come off the hill from Devi, and they're doing a re-push. 3 kills come out from Amarushi.
11 seconds on the cap though. This is not looking good for Devi. 279 Alka Hero really trying to push out resets here. Mori-chan denying at the best of his ability, shoving his turret in the face, really trying to say no you don't. I believe that's a cap out. ATLUS securing the victory, making it 2-2.
Yep, the 3 cap from ATLUS has surely paid off there. They were able to have control of the south part of the map. Devi had a lot of their tanks still out of the fight. They were all stuck on the hill. And the battle is still going because tanks are dying, and now we go, now we're finished.
Indeed, leveling the scores, Atlas 2-2. Not what we were expecting coming out of the second map.
No, it's good to see that Atlas have changed their playstyle a little bit. Obviously, they had to realize that they can't be so defensive on these maps. They need to really step it up a gear and put the pressure back on Devi, because that's what Devi did in the first 2 games on Westfield. They just put Atlas on the back foot straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, honestly, the biggest mistake Devi made here was not getting the tanks off the hill quick enough. Atlas making a lot of aggressive plays down 1-2, and tanks just not getting off quick enough. So Atlas is able to steamroll their way through, deal with the killzor, start the cap pressure, and really cover all the lanes for the repush, so that they can just sit there on the cap and say, come and get us.
The Atlas were able to take control of the 4-line and the 5-line roads to stop Devi from repushing, from pushing back onto cap, which is a big win for them. We better go through the battle results for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that.
We'll try and get through this real quick, and then we'll go through a map tack so we can quickly debunk that last Himmelsdorf game if we have time. So from Atlas, Tuku and his chieftain pick up 2.6k damage. Mori-chan and his chieftain pick up 2.6, and Amarushi and his 279E pick up 2.6 as well. So the damage spread up the top there was fairly evened out between Atlas's players. Even though the bat chat Yamato Noob was down the bottom there on 400 points, he was unable to get a full clip off. Ghost from Devi picked up, I believe I mispronounced that wrong. Devi from Ghost. God, I'm sorry.
That's alright, man.
Dry mouth. Anyway, Ghost and his chieftain pick up 2.6k damage. Rack and his 50B picking up 2.4, and Alkahiro in his 279, picking up 2.2. And again, same damage spread from 28, and Alkahiro picking up the same amount of damage in that. Unlucky you see that as often.
Make sure we move in and ready up as well.
Yep. I do apologise. I need some water once we go into battle.
I think I do as well. It's a very it's not easy talking all the time. Some people make it look so easy.
But anyway, so we have 3 minutes left. Do we want to go through the strat?
Sure, we can do that. Have you set it up? Hello?
Yes, one sec. I am just doing something.
Sure.
So we need to change the map to Himmelsdorf. Anyway, are we set on stream?
Yes, we're good. Take it away while I set up.
So as we see that Devi had a lot of tanks set up on hill, which was very they were just putting a bit of a presence on the hill, which was a very ideal to try and deny the attacking team hill, because if they have hill, they have cross shots into the base for when they have resets. So that was a key position that Devi took. But as you saw that Atlas originally had their 50B set up ready for a hill push if it did come from Devi, and once they saw that a lot of the tanks, they had a lot of tanks on the hill, they rotated their 50Bs down the banana, and able to take control of this part of the map. Atlas were able to get one tank in here, even though he bled 1,000 hit points, he was able to be in there and be a nuisance to this lone chieftain who had to fall back. And then eventually Atlas were able to start putting more tanks into the line of fire. They ended up putting 2 tanks on cap, then a third. Even though Devi had a 279E watching base, sorry, that is the wrong color. We need a green one there. Even though they had the 279E on cap, he just was constantly getting tracked by tanks that were in these 2 lines from Atlas. So once they saw that Atlas saw that a lot of tanks were on the hill, Devi took forever to try and rotate these tanks off hill. They were stuck here and here trying to farm the cross that came. But as soon as Atlas were able to get into these corridors, I'm not moving them, sorry. As soon as they were able to get tanks into these corridors, these tanks on the hill had no shots. They had no shots. So it was, once Atlas had the control of this 279 wasn't able to get around and reset these guys. And the one chieftain, Mori-chan, was able to block the push that the resets that this 279 tried to do. So a very well played by Atlas in this map. able to take control of this part of the map. I'll draw it out that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. Um, we're able to take control of this part of the map, denying any any um any tanks from getting into this section from Devi. They could have pushed down the banana down the back way from Hill, but they would have been out of the fight for too long. The real main force that they needed to try and do was in here. But yeah, that's what I could see from that map on Himmelsdorf for Devi's defense. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through the defense of Atlas, as we only have 40 seconds left before we go into our next set of games, which is on Cliff with. Bear with me. We have Devi on the defense again.
Absolutely do. So, let me quickly move back to the score. So, for those that have just joined us, the score is level 2-2. Some people are saying in chat, Devi not taking this as seriously, although I think Atlas is definitely making sure that they put in their best effort. But I believe we are just about to go in 10 seconds until our next game. And our next map, which will be Cliff, with Devi on the defense.
Yes, so the scores are level. Atlas took the 2 games on Himmelsdorf, while Devi picked up the 2 games on Westfield. So it's good to see that either team were unable to take out the map picks that they'd done. Now we have a similar lineup coming out from Atlas from last time they played this map. So we got 3 277s, 2 Chieftains, 8 907s, 1 TVP and an EBR coming from Atlas. And then for Devi, they have 3 277s, 3 Chiefs, 7 907s, 1 EBR and a CGC.
Yeah, Atlas not opting to run the artillery here. Potentially we could see some more aggressive players coming out of Atlas, which would be absolutely fantastic. It did certainly catch Devi off guard last game.
So what will we see Devi do on the defense? Are they going to be aggressive, or are they going to take control of one part of the map and just wait for a push coming from Atlas? It looks like they're seeing majority of their team down the 1-2 line to take control of the A3 corner.
Yeah, it's very curious, although we will see the EBR showdown on the top of the hill here. Kagumi versus Hanez. And Dr. Nixon, the artillery, will be looking to try and get that shot. He will be pre-aimed. Kagumi already taking damage. Not good.
I don't believe he got the run up the hill very well. He was stuck in the little dip on the left there.
Dr. Nix not opting to shoot Kagumi, though. Opting to shoot the main forces, so Devi has fully committed to the 3 line here. Keeping a couple of their chieftains back on the 5-6 line and a 9-7 in the rear, but most of them are on the 2-3.
Devi have a few tanks set up in defensive positions.
What is Atlas doing? What's going on here? Niru completely pushing out to the open here, as well as Turban really has bled a lot of HP for no reason here.
Very interesting play from Nero then. Devi have the defensive positions. They were able to punish him as he crossed from F3, and he's down to 600 hit points. That was an interesting move by Nero then.
Yeah, that just cost Atlas a lot of HP. Not sure why they would do that at all. And we're already seeing Hanez here in the EBR moving on there, on towards Atlas's cap. Kagumi will have to come back and try and get the spots to reset, but he's less than 500 HP. That's not going to be an easy task.
Well, a lot of Devi's main force is in the E3, F3 position to try and farm the push that comes out from Atlas. And Atlas are having to revert to pushing down the 8-0 line and try and take out the low 907, sitting in H8 hold down position there from Devi.
Absolutely. Baron is farming them though. Yamato Noob looking to try and push Old Kings to the water. Old King's having absolutely none of it though, but he will go down. It is a 3-on-1 fight. Although he's trying to make it really difficult. Yamato is taking a fair bit of damage as well as Kicker. So even though that tank does go down, they bleed a lot of HP for it. But Baron spotted taking a fair bit of damage now. Devi moving their 907 up to support the EBR and the cap, potentially looking to try and do a cap play to force some of Atlas's tanks back.
As Dr. Nix does only splash Kicker and Yamato Noob with only like 100 damage in Kicker, I believe. So not a very good shot there from the artillery. Both these tanks are still sitting on 800 hit points. How Devi going to dig out these 2 907s? Baron is a one-shot now. Can they get the kill shot in him? There's a lot of blind fires coming out from Yamato Noob and Kicker on that on that rock up there.
But the issue is the guys on the hill are more worried about cap. We're seeing Matcha here not really worrying about trying to get shots on Baron, more concerned about the 907 and the EBR. Tuku not even in a position to shoot, so Baron still living even though he's less than 300 HP.
So nothing really aggressive have come out from the V. They've pushed a lot of their tanks in E3 and F3, and then taking really strong defensive positions coming in the south there with one chieftain in G5 who is on less than half hit points there.
I disagreed. 14 here in the 907, really far forward. Now, he could be capping, but he's really trying to take the advantage of all the ATLUS tanks congested in one spot of the map and really putting the damage out here.
ATLUS have congregated all their tanks under that ramp there in E6 and E7. Not really able to rotate out because they will get farmed from the two chieftains that are sitting in E3.
And this is a massive tactical mistake from ATLUS. They've threw their HP advantage away at the start of the game, and it looks like it's going to be a last-ditch push coming in here. Initially leading the charge, but he is taking a fair bit of damage, and ATLUS now completely giving up the hill. There is now two 907s in the northern half of the map, but these chieftains here, the Chieftain 277s here, not going to be the easiest tanks to dig out, especially with low HP tanks. We are seeing the push come around though. Return taking the charge, taking a lot of the fire too. I don't think it's going to be enough though. ATLUS severely down HP here, almost 11,000. I think it's all over.
Yeah, ATLUS really let Divi crawl their way back into having map control, where they just forced ATLUS to play down the 6 line to 9 line, and eventually just forced them to make an error. And then at the end there, you saw just get them to do a last effort push, which they were able, which they just lost all their hit points as they pushed into E3.
Yeah, I think honestly this came down to a couple of factors. One, ATLUS threw away a lot of their tanks at the start of the game, and two, they didn't play as aggressive as they could have. Even though they didn't have the artillery, they just really sort of dug in, which is the same problem we saw on Westfield. Not really making the play on the attack and relying on Divi to make mistakes, which they simply didn't do.
You're exactly right then. But unfortunately, ATLUS don't take the first game of Cliff, so it's now 3-2 to Divi. We'll go through the battle results of that while we wait. We've got 4 minutes till we go into game 5. So, from ATLUS, Yuhei in his TVP picking up 2.3k damage, Matcha in his Chieftain picking up 2.2, and ST Tank in his 97 picking up 1.9k damage. Coming from Divi, we have 14 in his 97 picking up 3.2k damage. Ricochet in his Chieftain picking up 2.8, and Baron in his 97 camping up the back there behind the rock picking up 2.7k damage as well.
Just make sure you're ready.
Yes, I do apologize.
That's alright.
Okay.
We need to do that first before we start talking about games. Continue.
So we saw from that map where they pushed majority of their tanks into the E3 and F3 position, and they just sat their tanks there, splitting the force on either side and stopping ATLUS from making a push through the middle of the map and really getting them locked into one section, which was that E6 and E7 rock, or behind the rocks there. They couldn't really do anything then. The only thing that they had was rotate through the 9-0 line, and if they did, they would have lost any force that they had to defend their base, and Divi were able to push up into the middle of the map and stop them from being able to make an all-in push down the south.
Indeed, and I apologise, I haven't moved the screen to the battle results. I've just been trying to sort out a lot of things in the background because we do have a couple of minor difficulties setting up stuff for the next game. So we're now moving back to the results. So as you said, ATLUS really not putting out a lot of damage here. Unfortunately, it comes down to just bleeding a lot. Neru, with that aggressive play at the start, doing only one shot of damage. Turban, same thing. And just bleeding so much HP from two 907s at the start of the game. Unfortunately, I think that's where the game was pretty much over already.
So that's unfortunate for ATLUS then. Hopefully they can bring it back in the next game. They're on the defense this time, so will we see ATLUS do an aggressive strat for this map?
Look, I think honestly trying to run a defensive strat on this map is always a risk. You might see them run an arty, you might see them run a couple of defensive tanks, but I honestly expect them to do exactly what Divi did, commit a lot of tanks down to 1-2, maybe bring an arty, bring someone to the balcony, bring a couple of tanks to support the middle of the map, but not really commit that far, make the play come from the 1-2.
So, I wonder what will ATLUS run for this map? Are they going to bring a lot of flexible tanks? Are they going to... sorry, the guys in stream can't see what's being said in the Q chat right now. And the ATLUS guys are doing a bit of a chant to themselves. Unfortunately, we can't show it on stream. But I do appreciate what the ATLUS guys are trying to do right now.
We can't technically, but...
the guys are trying to get themselves hyped, and I think they are hyped versus a very strong EU team.
I might have a quick look and see if it's appropriate. It's mostly just ATLUS, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the guys just screaming ATLUS. There's a chance. Some of the other stuff I can't read because unfortunately I can't see what letters they're using or what characters they are using.
It would be Japanese, but
yeah.
If you don't have the language installed, you obviously wouldn't be able to see it. But less than a minute now until our second game on Cliff. 2-3 to Divi at the moment. Looking to be a close fight. Really hope that ATLUS will be able to level out the score here and surpass expectations. Otherwise, we'll be moving on to our next map.
So, if ATLUS take out this next game on Cliff, it will really get them back in the game, and I think that's what they need to do. They need to try and keep the momentum going, and they did that on Himmelsdorf very well, and they needed to try and get that momentum back again. So what will Divi force them into a corner again on this map, or even though ATLUS are on the defense, or will ATLUS actually force Divi into a corner?
Alright, well, looks like we're going into a game. So this time, let me quickly update the score. This is ATLUS's defense against Divi, bringing a 2-6-1 Yuhei, a very interesting choice here. Single EBR, seeing a fair few 907s come out here. Double 277, I7 by Miki, curious choice. And as usual, the 4 Chieftains.
Yes, and coming from Divi, we have 3 277s, 2 Chieftains, 6 907s, 3 STBs, and an EBR.
Yeah, the triple STB I definitely feel will be a play for the middle of the map. Question is, will that pay off, or would a Chieftain be a better choice? We'll have to find out and see how that goes. But let's quickly move to the EBRs and look at the duel at the middle. So this time, Divi not opting to run an artillery, which is understandable. Especially on attack, it is a risk to bring arty, especially if your opponent doesn't. And as making it up the hill with no damage, Yuhei hasn't fired yet. Potentially you might get a shot off here. But the issue with the 261 is just trying to get that opportunity, but no, it looks like no damage is coming out. Divi securing the center of the map, and ATLUS moving up to take the 2-3. Interesting though, Divi has lost a substantial amount of HP on Dekilzor and Old Kings and 907s on the 1-2 line. Potentially they were looking to try and farm, and 14 now taking damage as well. So these 907s that were looking to try and get crossfire, ATLUS actually hesitating before going up the hill to take a couple of shots, and the question is, will that have paid off?
As you're going through that, a couple of 907s have pushed through and taking out Missa in the Chieftain. So Divi really realizing that ATLUS have a lot of their tanks committed to the 1-2 line. Now ATLUS are doing a re-push through the middle of the map to try and take control of the map. Since Divi have 3 907s out of the fight, they know they have a tank advantage to try and secure the center of the map.
And now we're seeing Dekilzor move in with the 907 down the 1 line. This is a 2v1 fight, but losing that early HP, and Niki might be able to pull off a miracle here. Although it is a massive fight happening at the middle of the map. Now ATLUS surprisingly down 5,000 HP. Not looking good.
Hit points is just dropping so fast for ATLUS again. They're down 7k hit points now. Nero picking up 3 kills in his 907 and still trying to stay alive. Unfortunately, Atlas have lost this due to the fact that they didn't react to Davi's push through mid quick enough. Davi were able to push onto the lone chieftain on his own and completely secure the center of the map.
Yeah, so unfortunately what's happened here is that slight hesitation, the farm on the 1-2 line. Yes, that was damage, but because they didn't get the position quick enough, Davi able to take center control without punishment and effectively set up to farm that pushed by Atlas into the middle of the map, and it was just easy shots.
A bit of team damage coming out here from Davi. I see 3 tanks TKing their own team. I am unsure what was happening there, but we'll have to see about that.
Potentially a jamming device on the tank. You know, it happens from time to time.
Yes.
But that would now be 4-2 to Davi.
Unfortunate about that one. So Atlas, they hesitated on the 1-2 push, and they farmed quite... They got farmed by 3 907s, and just... they had a few tanks just stop trying to go into that center of the map. They were able to spot the 907s on the 1-2 line. And as we look at the battle results, we need to say something about this. We'll get to it in a sec. Have you got battle results up?
1 second. Let me fire it up. Yep, going in. Ooh.
So, Niru, we'll get to that in a sec. So, Niru in his 907 picked up 2.7k damage, even though the battle only lasted just under 3 minutes. He picked up 2.7k damage, showing that the 907's DPM is really, really high on the 907. Amarishi picking up 2.1, and ST Tank picking up 2.1 in his 907, pardon me. And then 14 in his 907 picking up 3.6k damage in his 907. Komi in his 277 picking up 3.1. And Rack in his STB picking up 3k. And unfortunately, 0-3 decides to crash in game. I don't know what happened there.
And turn blue.
Jackie was team killed by Rack. Hillary team killed 2 of his players. I believe one of them was on 0-3 who crashed.
I'm sure it's all just technical difficulties.
Yeah, some minor issues with the gunners there. They forgot who was who.
If not, always blame the lag.
Yep.
Clearly, they're not on their home server. The gunners just aren't behaving the way they should be. But still, Davi pulled the win through, and 4-2 now.
So, it was an interesting game on Cliff then. I can't really debunk or go through anything that happened on that game on Cliff. Actually, I might be able to. We've got 4 minutes. Do you want to open up the strat sketch?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that.
So while you're getting the scene set up, that's a heavy tank.
Righto, fire away.
So we saw that Atlas sent majority of the tank down into the E3 and F3 position, which is a very strong position. If you can win that cleanly, you're able to punish a crossfire that comes in, or a push that comes in from the other team. You're able to farm that as they cross and able to re-push and create the crossfire. But unfortunately, Atlas didn't react to the push from Davi quick enough. As you saw that they had one lone chieftain sitting here in F7, and they had a couple of guys sitting back here in the TD bush up at K6. No, it wasn't a heavy tank, it was a 907, so please ignore that. There's a couple of 907 heavy tanks in that corner, don't know why. So the push that came through from Davi was they had tanks sitting in the middle of the map in this center part. And they were able just to, when they saw that Atlas had a lot of tanks down the 1-2 line, these guys here were getting farmed by the push that was... I want the ping, thank you. They're getting farmed by... These 97s were farming these heavy tanks as they pushed into this center of the part, and they hesitated. Some tanks stopped behind this rock here and just didn't push. They got a couple of shots at these 97s, bled about 1,500 hit points together on these 97s. But being focused on that, Davi actually were able to re-push, send 3 tanks around, kill this one chieftain, and receive barely any damage for it. So then, through the map, Davi have got complete map control. They isolate this chieftain. He ends up falling off. He doesn't evaporate from the world, but, you know. This lone chieftain ends up getting killed by the push that comes through here, and this 97 in the back can only do so much without getting spotted. And then Atlas just try and do a repush was about 15 seconds too late. And when they get into here, the V have all their tanks regrouped in this center of the map, and they just lose all the hit points so rapidly. But yeah,
Indeed.
fortunately, that was a bit of a sad loss from Atlas, but they need to bring it back on the next map. And our next map is, I need to get my
It is
list
Ensk.
with Atlas on defense.
Have you done many codes yet? Or are you...
I have done 2. I'm trying.
It's alright, man. Well, how about you do some code work, and I'll talk about Ensk, because we've got about 2 minutes before we go into Ensk.
Yep.
Alrighty, so Ensk is our next map. Very slow map. I'm expecting a lot of 279s, E3s, Jagdpanzer E100s, tanks that are really trying to deal a lot of damage or prevent damage. Not so much artillery, although we occasionally do see one Conqueror gun carriage on the attacking team. But the question is that really going to be effective? Not too sure about that. We are expecting, though, potentially aggressive plays down the city side. Usually the northern team will try and defend the 9-0 with some sort of tanks, although I have seen the northern team make a lot of aggressive counter plays down the 9-0. So the question is, will that really come out in this game? Are we going to expect aggressive plays, pushing up city, pushing down rail yard, or are we going to see slow plays with Jagdpanzer C100s firing HE? Time will tell. And how long have we got until the next game? 30 seconds, not long at all. We will be heading in very shortly, and this will be the defense of ATLUS. So it'll be curious to see just how many 279s they can run.
We can't. Okay, I do really want to see the meme of 15 279Es, but I want to see ATLUS roll with a good strat on this one. It is a very favorable map for ATLUS. Sorry.
But with the train whistle, it looks like we're heading into Ensk.
To apologise, I am getting PMs for days.
That's alright, man. Welcome to the world of codes. I'll do the teams.
I wasn't looking.
Didn't ready up?
The team list.
Oh boy.
List, sorry.
That's okay. So ATLUS bringing T110 E3s and E4s. Interesting, actually more E4s than E3s here. 2279s, a version 4. I stand correct, there are more E3s. They're just not ordered. VK72 and S-Conks again instead of Chieftains. Very curious. DeV on the other hand, 279s, the V4 again. Not as many E4s, more E3s, and of course Chieftains. So looking at the start of this game, DeV really tried to take the rail yard control and ATLUS to do exactly the same thing. Interesting though, the V4 on ATLUS' side really pushing up quite far. That would be Mori-chan, lighting a lot of the tanks in the crosshair. DeV not stopping to shoot, trying to keep a lot of the E3s hidden. And curious, Yamato Noob and E4 actually playing the 9-0 line, not what I would expect. Normally you would see a tank that would survive a little bit easier there. So DeV has fully taken control of the 2-3 line, and they're also now pushing down the 7-8 line to try and farm these tank destroyers by ATLUS.
The amount of E3s and E4s coming out from ATLUS was a bit of a shock to me. I didn't expect to see this many heavily TDs coming out. You see that the E4 is tucked in nicely, Yamato Noob in the A0 corner. You see that Alkahiro and Hillary pushing very aggressive down the rails on the 7 line, trying to farm the E3s in the side, match it down to 500 hit points. Kyoru in his E4 down to 700, now down to 300 I should say, and S2 tank on 1400.
Indeed. 0-3 here in the Chieftain with Shifter, and I do believe some of the DeV guys have not renamed their accounts, hence why we're seeing 0-3, 14 and 28. So I'm not quite sure who these players actually are, but I'm sure they're very well known.
Here comes a push down from DeV. They're taking the 7-8 line a little more aggressive. You've got Old Kings and 28 pushing a little bit further down.
But now we have Niru and Kicker moving in to take out Komi here in the 279, as well as Skurga. And Skurga is actually on fire, has now bled 900 HP. He's now down to less than 1,000. This is a really nice repush coming in from ATLUS.
ATLUS really trying to show that the E3s and E4s, by hitting guns, trying to stop the pushing from the E4. Yamato Noob is stopping Devi pushing around and getting side shots of the E3s down on the rails, which is very nice to see.
Indeed, the kills are now moving up with the E3, trying to prevent ATLUS from pushing any further. Mishi is going to go down to the Killzor. Kicker taking that opportunity now to take out Com. The Killzor now looking at a 1v3 situation, so really relying on his ally in the E3 from the south, Hanez, to move in support. And Devi's push down 7-8, not really doing much at the moment. It's really slowed down. ATLUS taking the opportunity now to push rails. And Ridomaf and Yuhei here trying to take down the 430U. It's just ATLUS constantly, you know, making a play somewhere else. So Devi rotating tanks back into support, but then the play comes from somewhere else. And Devi looks kind of lost here what to do.
The 3 tanks defending base, you got the 3 E4s, one in A5, one in another one in B5, and the other one in A0. Really halting the push from Devi down that field side of the map. So ATLUS were able to push down through the city and clear out any tanks that were isolated in that central part of town.
Yamato Noob finally getting pressured by the double chieftain here. He is going to go down incredibly quickly, but I think it should have happened a lot sooner, especially when ATLUS started playing the city. But now, with these tanks being showcased on the 9-0 line, ATLUS now has the opportunity to try and play a little bit more aggressive and move tanks to start attacking Devi's base.
Both teams down to 8 tanks left, and the hit points were very close. ATLUS dropping down 2k hit points now. So Devi have really brought this game back just a little bit. They've got a few more healthy tanks compared to ATLUS at the moment. You've got ST tank there on a one-shot.
It is curious though, ATLUS now bleeding HP are down approximately 2,000 HP. Not looking as promising as we had originally hoped.
Here we go, we see a bit of a push coming out from the 2 chieftains, 28 and 14, playing hold down at the rails there to try and dig out that last E4 Anarchy behind the building. I
do apologise for those at home, I've just converted it over. ATLUS is on defence here. Continue.
So, the game has slowed down quite a bit, trying to dig out the lone tanks. Ooh, have I missed something?
Aniki taking a big hit from Baron there, now down to 373, and Baron now has easy shots with these chieftains moving in, spotting Aniki. Aniki is in a really tough position. He can't run because he'll get killed by the chieftains. He can't spot Baron, and Baron, whenever he wants, can easily finish Aniki off. Although, it won't happen if he misses his shot.
It's alright, 28 is going to come get the kill shot on Aniki right now. It's about to happen. There it is.
Not cleanly though.
Take a shot in return.
Does take a bit of damage, and Devi now making the cap pressure. ATLUS is down 3,000 HP, although arguably they could come back from this if they really started pushing their full HP tanks into the fight. Neru, oh no, no. Poor Kicker. Kicker has flipped. Kicker has flipped. Kicker has flipped in the 279. I don't think ATLUS is going to get out of this one, unfortunately. No, they really needed that tank alive and in the fight.
The V are closing in on ATLUS. They're locking them down to the central part of the map and just slowly bleeding them for hit points. Unfortunately, Kicker, he didn't need to flip, which sucks. Fortune there, still need to use his tank, but we still are applying cap pressure now. I feel bad for Kicker right now.
Yes, unfortunately, Kicker is in a bit of a spot of bother here. Let's have a look from his perspective and see exactly. Well, he's looking at the ground, and I think that's the end of that game.
He did put his
Devi,
gun in there to salute, and that was about it. That's all he could do.
Devi proving once again that they can keep their tanks on all four treads.
Yep. Wow, that game went back and forth, Napalm.
Yeah, look, honestly, that game. This is what happens when it's never really easy to just completely smash out and make it a convincing victory. Every hit point counts. Every rotation counts. Making sure your shots connect. This is what wins you games. And it just went backwards and forwards. It looked like ATLUS was winning. It looked like Devi was winning. ATLUS brings it back. Devi brings it back. It's, as you said, just backwards and forwards. And it is just typical of Ensk, unfortunately.
The game was secure once it hit the end part of the game, which ended up being in Devi's favor. They were able to have the positions to lock ATLUS down. And as you see, unfortunately with Kicker though, his tank was flipped, and they really needed him. But I didn't personally. I didn't. If even if his tank wasn't flipped or on his side, there wasn't much that ATLUS could do because Devi were able to force him more into the courtyard section of Ensk. So they were just getting surrounded.
Ready up, please, when you get a chance.
Sorry,
All good, mate.
I keep forgetting.
It's all right.
So we better go through the battle results for that because I do see some high damage coming out.
Yes, indeed. Just give me 1 second to make sure everything is good to go, and I will let you know when we're ready.
So we got 3 minutes before game
Alrighty.
8 starts on in this series. So we have Nero in his Supercon picking up 4.4k damage. Half-Light picking up 3.5 in his E3. It's good to see that Half-Light has had a game. Aniki picking up 3k damage in his E4. Doing very well as base defense TD. We have Baron in his E3 picking up 5.8k damage. Next tank is 14 in his chieftain with 2.8, completely outdoing 14 in damage there. He was down 3k hit points of damage from Baron, showing that Baron had easy farms. And then 28 on 2.8k damage with 5 kills, not getting his top gun, which sucks for him. But yeah. Whew.
Look, it definitely does speak volumes about the amount of shots Devi were connecting. You look at a lot of ATLUS's tank destroyers, their E3s and E4s, which were their primary tanks that they brought to the fight. A lot of them doing under 1,000 damage. The question is, was that a positioning thing? Was that an aiming thing? Was that a lag thing? Because they're playing on the North American server, which I should specify. All games are played on North America. Is that a lag thing, or could it potentially be that another tank would be better suited for that position?
I'm just looking at the tanks at the bottom end of ATLUS's team. The 2 E4s and an E3. Only one tank was able to fire 5 shots, and he didn't pen 3 of them, but he fired 2 of them at HE, and he only did 650 hit points of HE damage. And then you had another one there, did 1 shot, and it was a HE round again, and only doing 400. So those 5 E3s at the bottom of the list weren't quite. Oh, sorry, E3s and E4s. Sorry, weren't quite as useful in the fight. So if they were able to be in different positions and not get caught out by Devi, they might have swung the game back into Atlas's favor.
Indeed. With about a minute to go, Ensk once again. The score now 5-2 to Devi. Not looking good for ATLUS. ATLUS really has to start pulling back some wins if they want to stay in the fight.
Yes, so it is 5-2. Am I correct?
Yes, 5 to Devi and 2 to ATLUS. With now, unfortunately, Devi on the defense. ATLUS really going to have to prove that they can make a really solid attack here. Otherwise, they're going to be down 4 points now, which is incredibly difficult to come back from. And if Devi win this next game, it will be match point.
So, ATLUS need to try and bring this game back. They're 3 games down now, so they've still got quite a few games left to try and bring this back and make it a close game. But I think Devi have got momentum and they're on a roll right now. I think it might be difficult for Atlas to try and bring this back.
Indeed. And if you want to do your code draw, we're going to head in and I'll talk about teams.
Yes, no worries.
Alrighty, folks. Atlas is now on the attack against Devi on Ensk. We're seeing from Atlas's side, again, a lot of E3s. E4s, double VK72s this time. The version 4 Mori-chan once again. Neru in the 430U. Seeing Chieftains finally not running S-Conks. Devi this time, though, not running many 279s, only one. A significant amount of Chieftains, double E3. That is what, 12 Chieftains? That is absolutely incredible. I'm expecting some aggressive defensive plays coming out of Devi here.
I think they're going to cut the map in half and play their Chieftains in very defensive positions down the 7-8-9 line. As you can see right now, they're sending all their Chiefs across to the other side of the map. The Atlas sending their V4 heavy down into the 6 line to try and get spots. And there was no bleeds coming out from Atlas. They didn't get the bleed. The tanks crossing.
These Chieftains are just so quick. Their E3s and E4s are not getting the positions in time to be able to do damage. And Shifter just leading the charge here. We're totally behind him at the moment, but he's just not stopping. He's just slamming his way right into Atlas's base. Now he's turning around, but the rest of the team is still committing on. And Atlas now taking the opportunity to try and seize the city, but unfortunately for them, it looks like Devi is already moving towards the outskirts of their base. We are seeing a couple of tanks in defense from Devi's side. De Killzor in the E3 is hull down on the rail yard here, ready to defend. We're seeing Hanez sitting in the back there as well as Komi here in the Object 279. And we've also got Baron and the Chieftain sitting at the back. This is a very common position for a Chieftain on defense. Ghost and the Chieftain as well, a little bit further out, looking at Crossfire. And Atlas not really sure on where to attack here. They were committing down to the 1-2 line, but now we're seeing tanks like Kicker starting to rotate back, try and figure out exactly what they're going to do here. They know, judging by what tanks are spotted, that there's a lot of tanks from Devi sitting around their base, but they can't just repush that. There's just too many there. And I think this is the play that they were going for all along.
Yes, you can see that Devi, they have a lot of the Chieftains still sitting in their base, and Atlas's base just down, holding the 8H8 position, while Atlas have just split their force up and down 5 line, try and get any crossfire shots onto Devi. And they've got a few tanks holding the rails from Devi as well, as you see there. They got 2 Chieftains into H6, still got Daki in the E3 there, and while that's all happening, Kicker and the Chieftain is putting a bit of cap pressure to try and force tanks out.
But he can't afford to sit there too long. To Killzor putting a massive shot in and forcing Kicker back. Kicker really can't make any sort of plays here. To Killzor is actually in a really good position for an E3 here. He's covering this cross here to make sure that Chief can't make a play for this rock, which is probably one of the more protected positions. And we're now seeing Devi rotate some of their Chieftains back and actually shooting between the rail yard here. Atlas slowly bleeding, now less than 5,000 HP compared to Devi. And Devi, having the complete control of the right-hand side of the map, are happy to rotate tanks straight back to their base. We're seeing tanks that were completely committed to the south, like Shifter here, move back. And with all these slow tanks, E3, E4, really struggling to try and get shots, although I think they're mostly looking for to get shots between the rail cars here.
Yes, looking at the movement the Chieftains are doing from Devi right now. They're just going up and down that 8 line, trying to see if there's a push coming from Atlas, and it doesn't look like they're doing anything. They're just clocking up the Ks there.
Well, they are moving most of their tanks towards the north. We are seeing them holding the buildings here. But the thing is, Devi on defense, they really don't need to do anything. They've got control of the map. They've got all these turretless tank destroyers pinned down, and they've got all the angles of push covered. So realistically, Atlas's only chance here is to blind rotate their tanks and commit to one side. But when we look at the lineup differences here, Devi opting for a much more mobile lineup. really going to be difficult to see ATLUS make any sort of plays here. And Nipa here in the E4 getting farmed underneath the rail cars here. Nothing he can do. And he's going to go down to Old Kings and the Chieftain.
ATLUS are losing the hit points very quickly. They're nearly down 7k hit points, so a push needs to come soon from ATLUS. Otherwise, if they keep bleeding hit points, they will never be able to push, and they're going to lose the game to defeat again. They become match point. So ATLUS are needing to try and find something here. The mobility and the flexibility that the Chieftains have from Devi are making it very difficult for ATLUS to make a play. They're just bleeding hit points as soon as they act like they're going to do something.
Yeah, Readermath here taking a lot of punishment. Not really much he can do. He's even trying to back themselves up onto the flat cars here to get the gun depression to try and shoot underneath it. But Devi tanks are not letting them do it. But here comes the massive repush. Kagumi taking the lead in the VK72. Looking to farm these chieftains caught out here. Shifter taking damage. And it looks like his friend in the chieftain there also going to take a significant amount of damage. Although we're immediately seeing tanks starting to repush here. We're seeing a lot of farming coming as well. Tanks from the north easily getting shots down the rail yard. And HP is just bleeding absolutely everywhere.
Yeah,
Devi now realizing, Devi now realizing the push from ATLUS coming from the south are now able to completely overwhelm the E3 in the north. That would be Yuhei.
Yeah, the mobility of the Chieftains was able to react very quickly onto the push from ATLUS, and ATLUS just have got themselves stuck in on the train tracks. They couldn't push out. Look at this, 4 tanks stuck in one section. Picard, Nero, Turbine, all stuck in this middle section, middle part of the train track. Not much else they could do there.
And this is exactly what Devi planned, taking map control, really making sure that there is absolutely no way that ATLUS can make a play without them being prepared to repush.
I really like what Devi did then. That was really well done. They had tanks to stall any push that came from the north and really anchor that part of the map while they're able to rotate some chieftains up and down the map and acting like will they be able to react to the push from ATLUS in time. But either way, with the mobility from the chieftains, they could do that regardless.
Yeah, not looking promising, unfortunately.
So we'll go through the battle results quickly before our next battle pops. So, unfortunately, not much damage coming out from ATLUS in that game.
I should mention before we get into this, the score is now 2-6 to Devi, so match point.
Devi are a match point, and we go on to. We'll just quickly do this. We are going on to Malinovka with Devi defending.
Yes.
So, while we get ourselves in the lineup and ready up, I will quickly go through the results for this. So
Sure.
Matcha and his VK picked up 2.3k damage. Turban and his chieftain pick up 2k, and Nero in his 430 picking up 1.9. As you can see, that the damage output from ATLUS was just severely underwhelming compared to Devi. Devi just had the tanks there to just bleed ATLUS on the push or any time they caught a tank off guard or out of position. You see the Alka Hero in his chieftain picking up 3.5k damage. Rake in his chieftain picking up 3.5 as well. And 0-3 picking up 3k damage. A lot of the tanks in Devi's top order, all over 2k hit points, showing that, like I said, that Devi were able just to punish ATLUS anytime they try to make a push.
Yeah, look, ATLUS really didn't have many options. The lineup was really the nail in the coffin for them. They were expecting to play slow. Devi just simply threw down the gauntlet and said, look, we're not going to let you take any of your tanks in the positions where you want them to. We're going to cross all our chieftains for free. We're going to take the entire right-hand side of the map for free, and then we're going to set up to defend base. So you have a slow lineup. There is nothing you can do to try and repush without bleeding HP, and that's exactly what happened at the end.
Yeah. So I believe since we've got a bit of time, we've got 4 minutes. Do you want to go set up the map, the strat sketch, and I'll quickly go through it?
Sure, just give me 1 second while I set this up.
No worries. So while you're doing that, I'm going to set up tank positions.
Sure. All right, good to go, mate.
So I really do like the defensive strat that Devi ran on Ensk. Um, Unfortunately, I won't be able to place chips down for Atlas because a lot of the time Atlas were rotating. But just I want to highlight what Devi did in this map. So they had an E3 and a 279E. Sorry, he was not there. He was actually behind this track. My bad. They anchoring this part, so they were able to get shots through. I'll use green. They were able to get shots through here and through here. So North was secure with these two tanks. They were able to spot the push that came through here, and these chieftains were just literally all they were doing in this was doing this up and down the map, up and down the map. That's all they did that game. They just did that constantly, watching Atlas's tanks rotate up and down this side of the map. Even though Atlas had a lot of their tanks set up in this central part of the map, as soon as they cross a line that was sorry, that's not a ping. As soon as they cross this line here or cross this line here, that's when Devi were able to rotate back, put a couple of shots in, and stop that push. And then Atlas had to fall back into cover, rotate around, and then their final push from Atlas came from the south because they couldn't push to the north because the 279E and the E3 would just punish them as they crossed. So no tanks from Atlas cross this line, and I'll put the line down. They didn't cross this line. They all died in this central part of the map because they were stuck on a crossfire. They had Devi had a couple of chieftains sitting here. They had two chieftains sitting here, a couple of chieftains sitting on this corner, and they were just able to crossfire this. They stopped Atlas from pushing any further. This little circle was where all Atlas tanks died, just stuck in here. So very well done for Devi on that map. That was very well played. I don't think there was much that Atlas could do in that instance. They knew that Devi knew that the only way they could win this game, for Atlas to try and win this fight, was coming from the south, and that's what they did in the end. They ended up setting up for that. So I got to give a massive thumbs up for Devi on that one.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
2 minutes to go. And our next map is Malinovka. What are we expecting to see?
So, as we mentioned at the start of the stream, Malinovka has developed from being such a you play half of the map. It's become more that tanks have a presence in the south to uh, try and spread each tank further. So there's a lot of key positions that Malinovka provide now. You can either send tanks aggressive down the south, or you can send tanks into that rock in the middle of the map to try and extend their vision. But more importantly, the hill still plays a big factor in this map because if you control the hill, you can take control of the top half of the map, and you've got that massive ridge that splits the map in two.
Yeah, honestly, I think Atlas is really going to have to pull something weird and something they won't expect if they want to win, because it is match point. If Atlas do not win this next game, it is game over, and we get to call it a night and go to bed early.
So, as we mentioned before, it is 6-2 to Devi right now. This is match point. So Atlas need to win this game to deny Devi a game and hopefully claw their way back in. But Devi looks like they're gonna have all the momentum in this, and I reckon they'll probably win this last game, unfortunately. And one of our casters says, "We believe in you, Atlas."
We believe.
We believe.
Until the end, right? Until the
end. But yeah, so we need to see what Atlas can bring out in this game. They need to bring something out that will really shock Devi and how they play it. Devi have really shown us that their strats have been, as like I predicted at the start, they push aggressively into positions and overwhelm the other team, and just completely output their damage to reduce the hit points of the enemy team. So it is working for them, and we are just about to go into battle.
Indeed. It's like the time has hit 0. And with the music beginning, I think it's time for what could be the final game on Malinovka.
So this could be match point for Devi. So we'll go through the lineups. Atlas have 1 279E, 2 chieftains, 7907, 3 EBRs and 2 artillery, while Devi have 3 chieftains, 8907, 3 EBRs and an arty. So both teams decided to run three EBRs, except that we see that Matcha and ATLUS are arty.
Yeah, look, certainly appears that both teams opting to run mobile lineups. Devi opting to run a lot more 907s than I was expecting. The triple chieftain on Devi's side, double on ATLUS. I expect both teams will try and play Hill, although curiously, there's a couple of ATLUS tanks that are still sitting around the base, looking to try and get initial shots to kills, or an EBR takes a hit. So potentially ATLUS trying to bleed early on. Aniki already taking a lot of damage in the EBR. Trying to fight Skoga here in the 907. And it's actually working out. The double artillery really putting down the 907, not giving him a lot of options. Yamato Noob in the 907 getting first blood and taking out Skoga in the 907.
A nice good kill there from ATLUS. Was it ATLUS? Was the tank that died, sorry?
It was David tank that died, yes.
Yes, it's not coming up on my team, sorry. Anyway, so yeah, that was a nice little pick that ATLUS had there. So now the EBR in the south can have free reign in that corner and extend the vision for ATLUS. And then you just see that ATLUS is shoving their 97s down the south to try and put a little more pressure down that map. You can see that the presence in the south is really how this map is played. You still see that Devi are still shoving tanks up on the hill. They've rotated the 297s off the hill now. Still sending their 3 chieftains up there and to just try and take hill control. ATLUS have 1 EBR sitting in A7 to try and passive spot the hill and see what Devi will send up there.
Indeed, but it looks like with the 907s rotating off the hill, potentially Devi looking to make a repush and take back that position that they just lost in the south. The kills are hiding in a bush for his life. He does not want to get spotted there, and looks like Komi taking only splash damage from the double RT, not able to connect and do any HP damage, but Tekilzor looks like he's going to get spotted here by Aniki. He is now spotted, but Aniki in the open, it's risky. Yep, there he goes. Now leveling out the score to 1-1 this match.
So you can see the game is being played very slowly. Alkahiro does get spotted by the EBR on hill. Hanez tries to do his job and try and spot that EBR, but he can't do it, unfortunately.
Artillery doing work though. Komi's starting to bleed. Tekilzor running out of bushes really to spot from. He knows that the ATLUS tanks will be sitting in there, and we are seeing a couple of blind shots come through. It's only a matter of time before some of them start to connect and he will have to move. But he's happy to sit there, and honestly most of the Devi tanks are happy to sit where they are for the moment. They are on defense. And ATLUS, although they are now starting to rotate towards the hill, the scores are pretty even, and ATLUS not showing any significant sign of advantage here.
Hanez was successfully able to get into the bush at A9, trying to extend his vision down at A-line, and Raphael is still sitting in the bush right in front of him. So both EBRs can't spot each other. Alkahiro does take a big hit from artillery though. Takes another hit from a 279E or a chieftain. I am unsure with that one.
And it's interesting having both EBRs so close but yet unable to spot. It looks like Hanez now will have to start getting ready to move. Although not spotted yet. Very interesting.
So map control is very split for these two teams. It's pretty much in half, really. You got the EBRs being passive on both sides of the map. So yeah, it's good to see that this map is being.
I would say that Devi certainly have map control here. They have all 3 EBRs alive, and they have all 3 EBRs in useful positions. You have Tekilzor sitting in a bush near the base. You have 03 running around the middle of the map near the riverbed, and you have Hanez up in the northern half of the map. So effectively they're spotting all 3 key areas of this map. Whereas I feel that ATLUS are really lacking a lot of information to make any sort of plays. But Dekilzord finally goes down to blind fire.
So, was it Nero that picked up the kill? I didn't quite get to see that, sorry.
I didn't see it either, but Dekilzord does go down, giving ATLUS a slight advantage, but the HP is still incredibly even. And look at this, we're actually seeing the artillery marking the ground, saying, hey, we're going to shoot here. So they're figuring that Hinez or something is in this bush here. That's 279 taking a battering, but with less than 5 minutes on the clock, ATLUS not really making any sort of commitment to pushing one side. And this 279 is now going to take damage from the artillery, and David don't even care. And it's finally taking a shot from blind, but David don't need to do anything. They're just on defense. Having said that though, Old King's making a play along with Ricochet and Ghost, trying to get underneath here. Old Kings get blocked by Ghost, gets pushed off the cliff, not taking any damage, but
he hasn't flipped.
that's a plus. Turban is looking very unhealthy, but was this bush even necessary for David? Yes, they take out the 279, but this immediately triggers ATLUS's repush onto the base. We're seeing Yamato Noob, Kicker, Rikamath, Neru, and ST Tank making a play through the south half of the map. Hillary and the other 907 are now having to retreat, Devi making their presence known in the north half of the map, but ATLUS able to secure the south so much quicker. And now Devi really hard pressed to try and get tanks back to make sure they can ensure resets.
Devi have got 2 EBRs rushing back to reset Cap. ATLUS have got 3 on Cap now. Can the EBR spot Cap to get the resets? Hinez is the first one to try and go in. He does get spotted, and he's able to spot the 97s on Cap very successfully. So will the resets come out? There we go. Raphael does take a hit.
0-3 having his tyres blown off though. That's another EBR gone for Devi, sorry.
ATLUS still got 3 on Cap. The EBR needs to go back in and get another reset. Otherwise, ATLUS will win this due to Cap out. But Hinez is tied up trying to deal with Kogami in the middle of the map. Kogami does go down, but he is still the EBR for long enough. Will they get...
3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. I think that's stall tactic. Oh!
No. Blindfire does come out, does get the reset. Now ATLUS have got 15 seconds left on the clock. Hinez does go down the EBR due to ATLUS and his artillery.
But he only spots Neru, Yamato Noob, and Raphael still unspotted. They're now having the Suicide Chieftains in to make sure that they can get the resets. ST Tank sitting up on the high ground here, really farming the Chieftain as he comes in, or trying to farm, but it looks like the spots are coming out. Yamato Noob is holding on for dear life. And there is a 907, 14 I believe, in the base, trying to pick off artillery to make sure that Devi have a chance to hold. HP is still so close, but with a double arty, ooh, it's not looking good. Yamato is probably going to go down here. There's the arty kill. Oh, no, it was arty splash. There's the kill.
Well, arty splash for 300. There we go. There's the resets completely done for on Devi's base. I didn't think Yamato needed to stay on Cap once he saw the Chieftain was getting very close and Notions was going to get to him.
So now Mori-chan versus 4 enemies, and with 1 minute 40 to kill all of them, and Mori-chan bleeding from all sides. This is not looking good. This looks like a Devi victory. And that was an Amarak. Unfortunately, I believe the the turrets of Mori-chan's tank there signaling the end of ATLUS's dreams of victory.
Well, as much as ATLUS played very hard and played well, Devi proven that they were the stronger clan, the stronger team in this, and they really showed how dominant they are. Obviously, I'm hoping ATLUS will learn a thing or two, and there's more team kills coming out from Devi right now.
I'm sure it's just lag.
Yeah, we'll blame it on lag, alright? But ATLUS trying to do a last stand, trying to raise the ATLUS flag high. But we've got to give a big round of applause for ATLUS, but an even bigger round of applause for Devi for showing ATLUS how it's done.
ATLUS doesn't want to die, but he's now spotted. There goes the kill. That signals the end. A delicious victory for Divi. And bad luck, Atlas. You played well against Mahu, but it just wasn't enough against Divi.
But yeah, Devi was really they really had the momentum in those last games. Were able to pick up 3 straight wins. I think it was 4.
Yeah, Divi's proving incredibly strong and improving to be a very strong team all round. I think, honestly, the only chance Atlas had was to cap, and it looked promising. There were so many instances where it was almost over. But just that one key reset came in and bought that little bit of extra time that Devi needed to get them across the line.
Yeah, so we will go through the battle results for the last time. So when you're ready,
Yep. So this is the last game, so we don't need to have that open and be ready.
Yep.
So just give me 1 second. Go for it, mate.
So for Atlas, Mori temping at 4k damage in his chieftain. Opalus again showing how strong he is an arty, and he's such a good arty player. He's very handy in his artillery pieces. I believe that's all he plays in randoms on the Asia server. And then SC Tank ping up 2.5 in his 907. So a very nice job by Atlas in the end there. And then Devi Rack in his chieftain ping up 4.6. Dr. Nix in his CDC ping up 3.2, and Baron in his chieftain ping up 2.6. So unfortunately, we get to go through the battle results for the last time, which sucks. I wanted to see more games, but Devi really, really performing extremely well against Atlas.
Yeah, honestly, Devi showing why they are one of the strongest, if not the strongest clan on EU, and just simply dominating most games. A lot of the time, I felt that Atlas really weren't taking the aggression and initiative that they needed for the attack, but yeah, unlucky. That's all I can say.
But we got to say, congrats to Devi on that win. Again, this was the first time APAC have versed an EU clan since the WGL days when it was still running. But honestly, I want to see more of this stuff. This stuff is good. It's great. It's good to see that we're able to verse other clans, even though it's on a different server. It still gives these clans exposure to different how each server plays, what the kind of meta is, and what kind of playstyle each server has.
Yeah, look, and honestly, it's a great experience, if nothing else, to be able to fight someone you've never fought before. I mean, I know most clans get probably sick of fighting exactly the same people again and again and having the same tactics and same counter plays. So being able to run something new, something that you can really try differently, I feel that even if Atlas didn't win more games, 2-7 is still a decent score, I would say, considering Devi proving to be an incredibly powerful clan.
But again, we got to give a massive thumbs up for Atlas. They played the best they could. But yeah, so
Alrighty. Well,
wrap things up.
Yeah, we shall wrap things up. Look, folks, couple of thank yous before we go any further. Thank you to the Wargaming staff, specifically Mateo, for all the hard work that he's put in making this stream incredible. Thank you to the art team again for providing the resources to make the stream look professional. Thank you to J-Rated for allowing us to stream on the official channel. And thank you to the team that was providing the codes as well, which I believe Ravi will still be giving out. He's got a few left, I believe.
I have 5 left after the one.
5 left.
But I guess at the end of the stream, there will probably be none left.
Yeah, so stick around in chat, folks. What we'll do, I assume, is we'll make one keyword at the end, and then we'll roll it 5 times to make sure we get rid of all the codes. So we still will have more codes. But once again, thank you to all the Wargaming staff that put the effort in. Thank you to Devi for giving up their time to play. Thank you to Atlas for giving up their time to play. And yeah, look, it's been a great experience. I really enjoy casting these sort of things.
Yeah, I'm gonna say thank you for all the Wargaming guys that didn't decide to like put my name and Napalmer's name forward once again to cast these games. Like I I believe they enjoy what we're doing. So I guess that's why they keep asking us. But yeah, I gotta say thank you for those guys for at least considering us. It has been a not a good experience, a great experience that to cast these games and show what other clans can do. Not as a player's perspective, but on a more as an observer's perspective. So that's really nice to see. But yeah, thank you to all the wargaming guys and all the players that played today and previous streams that we've done. By all means, thank you for all the viewers in chat cheering your home clans on. Yeah, so at the end of the day, we have to say that's it, folks.
Indeed, that's it. But once again, thank you all for the turnout. I really hope you enjoyed the stream. And any final thoughts before we wrap up, Ravi?
No, just look out for the McShouty guy on the battlefield. Let's just say that.
And with that bombshell, folks, my name's Nate Palmer. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
And this is goodbye from Ravi. Have a good evening, everyone.
Cheers, folks. Have a great night. We are done.